In this chapter, we will be creating Mustache for the character. So the process is very similar to what we did for the beard. So first I'm going to change the Ornatrix node name. So with my Mustache Ornatrix node selected, I'm going to reduce the length. I'm going to go to Guides from Mesh and reduce the length and change the width as well. So I'm trying to match the width of the mustache to the beard. Enter 0.068, which is very similar to the beard. And then I'm going to go to Edit Guides and delete all the guides. Now that we got rid of all the guides, I'm going to manually place the guides using Add Guides brush. But before that, I'm going to go to Tool Settings and I'm going to set the strength, size, and place the guides for the mustache. And then I'm going to go to Hair from Guides and bring in the distribution multiplier map for the mustache. Name the file texture node, set the file type to off, and bring in the map. And once the map is loaded, you can see the hair is only generated within the mask area. Now I'm going to trim the guides a little bit using the cut tool. And then I'm going to select the comb brush and start shaping the guides. Sometimes when I find it difficult to shape something that's simple, I generally prefer using surface comb operator. So what this does is that once you have that operator in your stack, all you have to do is just click and drag in the direction that you want the hair to flow, and that's pretty much it. So the longer the arrow, the more surface area it affects. And I wouldn't go too crazy with surface comb because the more arrows that you add, the difficult it gets to control the hair. So I would keep it to a minimum because less is more for this operator. And then I'm going to go to Hair from Guide and I'm going to increase the render count and also the viewport fraction. And I'm going to change the distribution type to random. I'm just looking around to see if it's working or not, because sometimes you have to spend time from different angles of the character to see how the hair is reacting, because you cannot groom the hair from just one camera angle. So you have to keep moving your camera, moving your perspective view. So you have to keep moving the character in the viewport from multiple directions to see if it's looking good in all the directions. As we can see, the surface comb is what's affecting the hair right now, not the edit guides. So I'm going to go to surface comb and keep editing the size and direction of the arrows to refine the groom. I don't think I'm still happy with the way the mustache looks with the surface comb, so I'm going to use a different method to create guides. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hide surface comb, and I'm going to delete all the guides that we placed previously in the edit guides, and I'm going to manually draw the shape of the guides using strand draw. And while using this tool, it is common that you could go overboard with the number of guides. So I would keep it to a minimum, because later when you start refining the groom of the mustache, it could get difficult to edit if you have way too many guides. But as you can see, there is a lot of hair going through the surface of the geo. So I'm going to create push away from surface node, and that brings out all the hair strands. So in my references, what I'm doing here is that I'm looking at the way the mustache is groomed and the way the hair is curved. And I'm just trying to draw the same design into the guides so that the hair follows exactly like what we are seeing in the images. Then by using the comb tool, I'm going to bring out the strands a little bit. So going back to viewport count, I'm going to set the fraction to 1 to preview what the mustache looks like. And I'm going to generate the strand data node, and I'm going to set the name to mustache length. And I'm going to set the generate method to strand length, and make sure the new channel type is set to per strand. And I'm going to create a length node since we didn't bring our length map yet. So I'm going to bring that in. Now I'm going to create clumps. But I don't think we edited the strand shape yet. So I'm going to go back to change width and change the shape of the hair strands using the width ramp. I'm going to increase the number of hair strands on the mustache. Maybe not too much. So under the clump node, there are a few other options such as twist ramp. So I'm going to reduce that amount a little bit. And then I'm going to increase the flyaway fraction and amount. And then I'm going to create curl node, set it to wavy and control the magnitude using the ramp, just like we did in the previous chapter for the beard. And I'm reducing the magnitude to 0.3 as well. Just play around with the number until you're happy with the result. Then I'm going to go back to curl and change the magnitude, and also face offset and stretch. Then I created a frizz node. This is exactly the same what we did in the previous chapter. So create the node, reduce or increase the magnitude or amount, and then fine tune it using the ramp. I'm going to introduce a little bit of randomness into the length, both for the beard and for the mustache. And then I'm going to add detail to the hair strands. You can always toggle the node on and off to see the difference that it's making to the groom. So now I'm selecting a grow tool and I'm introducing some random length to the hair. While using the grow tool, it's actually extruding the guides in a linear fashion, so you will have to go back and reshape the guides using the comb tool. I'm gonna do a quick test render to see how the hair looks, because sometimes what you see in the viewport might look different on the render. So as you can see, the beard still doesn't look as good as well, even the mustache. So I'm gonna go back to beard later, but for now I'm just gonna focus on the mustache and refine that. So I'm deleting all the guides that are on the mustache area in the beard so that we don't see any strands on the mustache from the beard. I'm going to trim the guides a little bit and shape them. And that pretty much concludes our chapter for the mustache grooming. So we're going to move on to the next chapter.